Welcome back to Champion Spring, and bang, it will be the MVP for SK Telecom. 905 had a great performance. Really, his positioning in those team fights was a lot of what helped them win.
And honestly, both teams had an early snowball. One of the teams in the bottom lane, that was SKT, Bang getting the advantage. Crown was in the advantage in the mid lane. Crown overextended, gave away 2 important deaths. Bang, though, was completely on top of his game the whole way through.
Yeah, getting a little bit of help from Faker there, and the Gangplank ultimate.
This was the big pick onto Crown. Both Faker and Bang were well on form there. Of course, that meant that Bang could run riot throughout the remainder of this fight. This was what really led to the ascendancy of SKT in the late game. But man, it was close for the majority of the 45 minutes.
Well, yeah, I think you're right about Crown there. That last fight, as we're looking at this other one here, is Crown had a habit of just trying to poke a little bit too hard, trying to go a little bit too far forward to get that damage in. And SKT just kind of called him on it right here at the end. Bangy was completely ready with that cocoon, and you know, what do you do?
So many fights in a row. Bang was able to free hit or put out massive damage, and Crown and Core JJ was zoned out of the fight. I don't think it was necessarily a fault of Core JJ, but playing around terrain often happens when you're fighting around Dragon and Baron. SKT, on top of that game, Samsung, their communication let them down between members like Crown overextending and around terrain in a couple of instances to swing what was otherwise a very even game.
Yeah, and I feel like we've seen this kind of game from SK Telecom for years, you know, where they don't necessarily have the strongest early game. They might fall behind a little bit. They might go even in lane. And then in the end, there's going to be some little instance where they capitalize on a mistake, take an inhibitor, take a huge amount off of that, and then suddenly the ball is rolling, and it's really hard to stop these guys. This is just how SKT has played League for a long time.
I would say that when they were at their absolute best, you know, towards the end of 2015, their game plan was a bit more predictable. There were less unpredictable mistakes, like Duke, for example, launching himself randomly into the enemy jungle, Faker getting solo killed in mid. Those were the atypical patterns, and that's what tells me they're still getting used to this 5-man lineup.
Yeah, well, Faker doesn't die in a lot of 1v1s.
No.
He does always overextend. He's good enough that usually it's okay, but apparently on Gangplank he can't quite be quite as cavalier. So it's time for game number 2, SKT versus Samsung. And we'll see what the bans are going to be like.
I like it.
Yeah, I think the Victor ban's a good plan.
I mean, this actually does echo what you were maybe predicting in game 1 of the just tilt them strategy from SKT, where SKT drafted strong picks, didn't respect the undefeated at the time Rek'Sai and Victor, then beat them. That was the story of SKT years ago. They would often approach best of 5 series usually in this situation. Of course, that was back when it was best of 2 into best of 5, but in a best of 5 series, they would be happy to give over strong picks and try and beat their strongest lineup. It's no surprise here that the Victor is banned away against Crown. It's been by far his most effective champion.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to approach things, where it's like, well, we can either ban what they're good at, or we can just let them play it and then beat it, and then just make them mad. There's a GP ban, so not wanting to first pick that, we give it over, and the Rise ban, not unexpected at all. So what's the first pick for SKT going to be?
Lulu being left open against SKT is certainly not a common thing. Faker is so good at this champion.
Yep.
Locked in first pick, no surprise.
And of course a flex pick that they can always move around if they want to, but you'd think it's probably going to go to Faker.
You might think, okay, last time SKT played Lulu, they lost, but of course that was Scout on Lulu. Much different proposition where it will be Faker, and I guess, as you mentioned, small chance that Duke could pick it up for the top lane. Doesn't strike me as a top lane pick for Duke, but I mean, possibility nonetheless.
He's played enough Lulu in the past, but we'll see. Corki Alistar, so just the bot lane being grabbed by Samsung.
Like a week ago, the priority might have been Corki over Lulu. Faker's mid Corki was just unbelievable against CJ in the first game of the week, of the first game of the season even, but Corki is taken away. Again, a flex pick. Flex picks mostly the story of the day, but Bengi does get the Rek'Sai, gets back onto a control jungle that's been taken away and banned from him multiple series in a row.
Wow, I mean, 2015 was the year of Bengi being amazing on Rek'Sai, so definitely a power pick for this dude. Bang, of course, still very good on Lucian. We saw it last game, so no surprise to see them take that again in game 2. Elise Lissandra chosen by Samsung.
Sandra's been one of the most important champions for Samsung. They've played it both top and mid. Crown struggled with it mechanically in lane, but made some really good team fighting decisions on the Lissandra, and Cuve was a beast teleporting in with flanks on the Lissandra, so that's a crazy pick to get in the 4th round of the draft as well.
You know, we saw the Zed. Now we're seeing the Lux. I wonder.
It's a blind pick.
The Fiora would make more sense, but I'd love to see Faker play Zed again, or even Lux would be pretty entertaining.
Maybe on the red side, though, but given that they have the Lulu locked in and they're blind picking against the mid lane, too risky to go to the Zed. It's coming. Don't worry, it's coming.
Maybe someday. Fiora Braum seems reasonable. Braum a little bit surprising where they still have the option to grab that Thresh. I guess Trundle is a good choice too.
They do settle on the Fiora. We've seen many times this season, specifically from Someday and KT, Lissandra being outscaled by Fiora in a side lane. Now there is still the potential to flex here, so it's not clear what's going top, but
yep.
Hovering on the Varus and locked in.
Cool. So we saw some Varus yesterday, but this is going to be a top Varus apparently. No, it's a mid Varus. I was going to be like, what the? All right. I mean, we saw support Lissandra yesterday, man, so you never know. You never know what you're going to see in Champions this season.
Kuro was rocking the mid lane Varus. I also spoke about, of course, back in IM Cologne. It was Athena playing mid lane Varus forever, of course, now with EDG. Varus has good itemization against AP champs. More of Malmortius has definitely been buffed from a Varus perspective in terms of the stats it provides. Very big poke comp coming through, or poke duo between Varus and Corki on the side of Samsung.
SKT looking calm and collected. Samsung perhaps a bit more nervous. Ambition especially looks a little bit shaken up on that screen right there. It was a close game that they lost in game number 1, and it is tough to come back in a series against SK Telecom. I think a lot of teams around the world can tell you that.
This is definitely a draft that is on a timer from Samsung. They have excellent poke, but if this goes late enough, no way for Lissandra to enter lane against Fiora's split push. Look for Samsung to try and motor down turrets, because if they don't, if there's enough time bought for SKT, late game, scary place to play for Samsung.
Absolutely. And the game is loading. And we will see if Samsung can somehow find a way to win game 2, force a game 3. That would make this a pretty amazing series. But right now, SK Telecom with the momentum. Can Samsung tie it up? Let's get in the game and find out. What do they want to rule?
I don't know!
What is it? Rule the Rift? I guess that's what we'll settle for this time.
The way it's said, it sounds like they want to rule the woe, which is depressing, actually, so...
Rule the woe?
Tales of woe.
Feeling of sadness?
Yeah, that's not really a thing you want to rule. I
Maybe
mean,
they're like, whoa, like a cool roller coaster, or when you see a dinosaur.
Gnarly, dude.
Yeah, well, Samsung versus SKT, game number 2. And we don't see too many series where SK Telecom is up a game and then loses.
I was talking about the IM Cologne Varus. This was actually the matchup that Athena prioritized Varus into, the Lulu. Now Lulu, very famous lane bully. It's been a mid lane, I guess flex pick to top lane for a very long time at this point. Faker is an excellent Lulu, but just the line wave clear you get from Varus, specifically with blue buff from range levels 7 and 9, means that you can stay back and clear so safely. Camera actually showing Core JJ, moving with the minion wave. Not looking for a lane swap, clearly, as you can see, hogging the bottom side of the map. Lane swaps have been interesting on both sides, as SKT is going for a vision.
Yeah, Wraith saw Wolf, though. This is kind of bizarre. It looks like maybe they wanted to do the Gromp, but Bang and Wolf were there, so they couldn't. I don't know.
So basically, the reason why things like that are happening is that deep wards are no longer a thing to check for the lane swap, so you kind of have to check late. If you spot it, then try and group your top laner and go for a delayed lane swap. So it's, again, lane swap information, but there's so much more incomplete information with all the changes to the early game, specifically the spawn timers and everything else on the 2016 patch.
Well, Kuve may have a bit of an edge against Duke in lane early on. Wow, Bengi getting a little bit low against that blue buff.
Unideal pathing from Bengi. We see a lot of Rek'Sai players playing around the blue buff and then handing off the first blue to their mid laner early in the game, but just given the potential for a lane swap, couldn't do the double bluff and had to just take that as his first buff. And yeah, Varus will wave clear just fine. If he can hold on to blue, he can match Lulu in the wave clear from from excellent safety. He'll be able to itemize into more Malmortius, although not that much AP damage, so perhaps we'll just go for the Ghost Blade after building into the tier. Varus also, an interesting change for him, his ambitions around top lane.
Yeah, they may try to make a play on Duke. He's recalling right now. We'll see. Bengi coming up too. He's going to spot.
No, he's not.
Oh, actually doesn't see Ambition. Ambition going in. Bengi immediately turning. And Ambition's just going to need to run back to turret, yeah.
Bengi just went for the check. He was like, okay,
Yeah.
he might be in the brush and not moving. I don't know for sure. Spot him out in the end. Ambition actually hot in pursuit of Bengi.
Wants to make sure he doesn't go for a gank here, and Bengi is doing exactly that. Going on the crown, there's a knock up, a little bit of damage. We'll see how much they can force out of him. Don't get any summoner spells. They do take a big chunk of health. That's going to make Faker's time a little bit easier in lane for maybe a moment or two.
When SKT pushed up, they were actually able to get deep vision onto the blue buff. It still hasn't been cleared by Ambition, so interesting to see if we do see a contest around the blue buff.
Yep.
Early levels, Lulu should have a relative ability to push waves. She has much lower cooldown on her line wave clear, the Glitter Lance versus the Piercing Arrow from Varus.
Yep. Always do need to watch your mana a little bit. Ow. But early on, Faker's going to be trading pretty favorably with Crown, as we can see here. Although, well, Crown getting a little better with that one, but not much mana.
Another small reason that Varus has become an interesting pick, specifically on patch 6.1, is that Storm Raider's Surge is now a mastery, other than Thunderlords, is actually worth taking. The big thing about this mastery is if you do 30% of the enemy's health, you get 75% slow resistance. You might think, okay, how is that related to Varus? Varus, of course, has a self-slow as he channels his Q, which will be reduced by 75%. You can get so much more range and mobility charging that up. It's not really relevant till the cooldown gets lower around level 9, but it actually is really interesting.
Whoa.
As we see some heavy trading between Faker and Crown.
Yeah, I think I just saw Faker take a Thunderlord's proc too, so it looks like Crown decided to go with that mastery anyway.
Poke damage is also an important thing, but it is at least a consideration.
Now Faker needs to be kind of careful here. Ambition tracking back to the mid lane. It's fine for now. But Crown has really done well in lane against Faker today. Very impressive stuff.
No doubt whatsoever. The first game was against Gangplank, was kind of a punching bag in the early game.
A little bit.
Not too surprising.
It's true. But Crown, I mean, this guy was already looking pretty good at the end of last year, and he's certainly improved a lot.
This is
in the
just
offseason.
a really fun game to do. This is the sort of game that Monty would love because both teams have very clear win conditions. Samsung mentioned it during the picks and bans. Excellent poke duo between Varus and Corki, and you have the Lissandra versus Fiora, where in the early game you have CC, you can dive that Fiora, you can take advantage of her. However, in the late game, team fights, we're talking about Faker on Lulu and Bang on Lucian. Just remember, CJ Entus versus SKT back in the spring season, how Bang ran wild with that duo. This is going to empower Bang to be even more impressive than his MVP performance in the previous game, and you're going to have Duke outscale in terms of the 1v1 between Fiora and Lissandra. So early game is in the advantage of Samsung. They need to try and help Lissandra out, and that's what you see. Ambition popping around top.
Duke may need some help here as he went in on the Kuve. Oh, Cocoon misses for Ambition though. Duke trying to make it out. Looks like he'll be okay. TP coming in from Faker. Doesn't cancel it either. Wow, all right. They're just going to do some damage here. Wow, some serious damage onto Ambition with that E. That was EQ combo.
That was a really poor gank from Ambition. He just kind of threw out a max range Cocoon hoping for the best, missed, and then really couldn't provide much. He just needed to path over. I guess he was scared of the kill potential, but I think more could happen there. If you play around the Lissandra, you can hold down the Fiora and ensure that that outscales at 25 to 35 minutes and not much earlier in the game.
You know, Faker, I suppose, is in a position where he can totally do that. He can whimsy his way back down the mid and get there quickly, and with Crown taking heal instead of teleport, you're not really at a TP disadvantage by using it. Oh, Bengi going in onto Crown. Crown still has his summoners available. He may need to use one now. Getting very, very low. There's a wild growth. Faker trying to get enough CC to complete that kill, but Crown is able to use the summoner heal and flash to make it out.
Trying to be very steadfast in his summoners. Seeing multiple lanes actually, aggression coming in, but I think everyone backs away. In the end, he probably could have held on to his heal. There was no ignite on the side of Faker, so he wouldn't have died, but
I suppose.
Safety first.
I think when he got hit with that wild growth, he just got a little bit spooked and decided
We've all been there. Press both those summoners.
Yeah, you just like smash your hand down the keyboard like, oh, escape!
I guess I'm safe. Shame about the heal.
It happens.
Definitely does.
Yep. Still in the end, Faker going pretty even in lane CS-wise against Crown at the moment.
even isn't really what Samsung's looking for. The key timing here, the one we'll know about the game is Faker.
Oh, that was really close to being cocooned.
Was just spotted out. It looked like mostly Ambition was holding safe. I think just spotted out by the Tremor Sense. But the key thing here, Doa, here's what we're looking for. When we look down the bottom and see Trinity Force completed, Varus at least level 9, which obviously is coming very soon, that's the go button. If they do not take multiple objectives, start the snowball then, we're going to have to really worry for Samsung keeping this draft together because, again, they haven't played around the Lissandra. That's what we saw Jin Air do in this Lissandra versus Fiora matchup, was deny So1 extensively his crown. Was for a very aggressive back. Just hold down that Fiora. Fiora's not held down. Once those items come through, you either take advantage of that timing or you get outscaled by SKT.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, we already see Core JJ struggling a little bit in lane. He's not down in CS by too much, but was that a little bit. The longer you delay that Corki from getting the Trinity Force, the better shape you're in against a poke comp like this.
Or even the other way, the longer you keep Corki in lane with the Trinity Force and not able to rotate around the map, just clearing waves, that is not why you pick the Corki. So that's either or will win. Of course, they got the ganks last game, so the Corki was way behind, and I just pick up CS after losing turret. That hasn't happened this game, so let's see if Samsung can aggressively rotate around their massive poke duo in about 5 minutes' time.
All right. I'm going to go grab some coffee. I'll be back in 5 minutes.
No worries, I got this, Doa.
All right, you got this? All right.
It's actually pretty hard to get coffee at this time in 5 minutes, but if you run.
That's true. That's true. I don't think I can do it. All right, I'll stay. You convince me.
It's nice to have company. Monty left me behind.
Hey, I've had to solo cast champions, man.
I know, I haven't had that yet. I'm waiting for my solo cast opportunity. Well, the solo color cast, we haven't had it yet. We've had double color, which I think's gone pretty well, but solo color, oh boy.
Well, hopefully you never have to do it.
Chobra, double duty on the solo cast. What a legend.
Yeah. What a guy.
Whatever happened to Chobra?
I don't know. I heard he opened up like a surfboard shop on the beach in California. He just lives life easy in Crown with no summoners. Nothing easy for him. That's an easy first blood for Faker, though.
Really nice path.
Oh,
and look what's happening across the map already. Yeah. Cuvée getting bossed around by Duke. Worrying times for Samsung.
I'd say so. Yeah, Faker gets first blood. But it was such an obvious gank. I mean, Crown really needed to play that a little bit safer. And, you know, we're already seeing a little bit of the overextension in lane that we saw in team fights. Yes, or last game with Crown.
I think you're being harsh. I mean, he did come over the Raptor buff to get that. Of course, it's a Rek'Sai path, but I would say it's more ambition, lacking some defensive warding for his mid laner, than really Crown making too much of a misplay.
Maybe.
Give Crown a chance.
You're the analyst, so I'll just believe what you say.
Works out best that way.
But if I was Crown, I'd just be sitting under that turret.
Well, don't worry. He's back to sit under his turret.
All right. Wow, action going on in the bot lane for JJ, a bit low. Bang, low himself though, tries to pop that culling, but Ray should be able to body block this one enough.
It's on the Alistar, looked wonderful on this pick 2 days ago. Yep. The move from Stitch to Core JJ, again, it was smart pathing from Bengi last game that really took advantage. Could do.
Get messy. Oh. Wow, Wraith tried to go for the pulverized flash, ends up pushing Bang away afterwards just to get him out of the fight. Ambition coming in. Bengi lurking right there, comes in. There's a knockup. No, not knockup. Onto Ambition. I thought maybe he'd pop that, but Faker coming down with the teleport to help out as well.
Wraith really trusting his mechanics with the pole flash, as you mentioned. Didn't pull it off. Duke already had a nice duel against Cuvée. He's going to start again.
Yeah, no flash this time, but Cuvée gets away with the E.
Glacial path.
Yep.
Glacially gets away.
Glacially.
Slowly.
Yeah. Seemed pretty quick, though.
Yeah. I can only tell you what the name is, Doa. Glacial path.
Wow, Trundle, you okay?
Trundle and Lissandra in the same game.
He did not sound happy about that pillar. He's like, that was my trophy.
Maybe he's just a harsh critic of his own pillar placement. It's like, didn't nail that one.
I think it was pretty good, though. It's okay.
7 out of 10 for some people is not enough, though.
I suppose. Well, it's enough for me.
That's not what I've heard about you. You have high expectations.
Well, not when it comes to my own League of Legends
play.
Your
own play. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be happy with a pillar like that. I'm perfectly content with a 7 out of 10.
NA pillar.
NA. Oh, Baker ults himself just to keep Ambition away. Dodges a Cocoon. Nicely done. Wraith coming in. Bengi trying to make a play. Bengi popped out. Duke TP's down. They do catch Ambition. Oh, but not quite enough damage as Bengi takes some poke. But we'll see if they can do some damage in the mid lane. Doesn't look like it.
Duke was half a second late on the riposte. If he was able to riposte and stun Crown, doesn't matter how stamina are, you would have been dead. So just a slight misplay. It's so hard to predict. Someday makes players look like that look easy, but Duke not quite pulling it off right there.
Yeah.
We talked about those timing windows, Doa. Not quite observed yet, not quite the must-go time, i.e. specifically the Trinity Force from Core JJ, but the fact that Duke is already comfortably winning trades certainly hasn't been snowballed against. Well, down the bottom lane, SKT have had lane control again. I worry about Samsung hitting their timings this game.
Well, the fact that SK Telecom is already like 2,000 gold ahead
Sure.
against a comp that needs to take the advantage now and needs to put on the pressure through the poke, I don't have high hopes for Samsung winning this one.
Well, no one really expected much from this Samsung lineup. You look to someone like Ambition. Honestly, at the end of last season, I thought Ambition was done as a pro player. It wasn't working on CJ. I thought, okay, CJ gonna have their rebuild time. I don't know about Ambition. He goes over to Samsung, reinvents this team, and has shown that he's still a force to be reckoned with. Is he the best jungler in Korea? No, but the shot calling, the impact that's had on this team has been really impressive. So I'm not willing to count them out yet. This team has looked good in large spades in the late game.
Did they really do like a faux Jaws theme?
They did, yes.
Rek'Sai is...
Yep.
Wow, that's great. Oh, there's a knock-up onto Ambition. He's in a little bit of trouble. Ume trying to come in, but I don't think they're going to be able to save that Elise. He's trying to get under turret, repel, maybe enough, goes down onto Duke. Actually turns around, Faker gets ulted by Kube. Could go badly. Faker barely making it out. SK Telecom gets the kill they were looking for. And meanwhile in bot lane, Bang on his own in that 1v1. Needs to be a bit careful, but things going well for SKT. Definitely.
Samsung played that as well as they could and still gave up the death. That's what happens when Lulu's there. Good burst damage and of course all the utility. I mean, they go for an easy turret dive. Not quite Trinity Force for Corki. Just can't win those trades once again against Lucian.
Yep.
You're right, Thunderlords Varus. I'm very disappointed.
Well, it's a good mastery.
It's pretty damn good.
It is indeed. And Bengi has just been following Ambition around all game too. This has really been, it's been a lot of counter jungling from Bengi, it seems like.
And this is the game where you shadow the enemy jungle. We talked about the impetus on Samsung to snowball top lane, to set up other win conditions. And if you're just always on top of Ambition, which has been the story for Bengi, this is definitely a return to 2015 Bengi. No surprise that it's on Rek's side, that one of the best control junglers, probably the best, that you can play in the game right now. And if you keep shadowing him, if you can never snowball top, it's push, push, push with Trinity Force or basically lose the game. So job done for Bengi.
It's true.
Bengi.
Was that Jaws theme always in there for Rek'Sai?
Yes.
I don't remember hearing that until like today.
Pool party skin only.
I've seen so many games with Pool Party Rek'Sai, but this is the first I've ever noticed it. I'm not very observant apparently. Wolf got ulted, I saw that. Had to flash away. Core JJ bringing the package in, but not able to use it to any effective
Has
end.
not wielded the package impressively this series.
Yeah, not so much.
Corki's going to have to think about that. Up his game.
It's true. It happens. No. Duke actually going after Kube here. Can still pop that. No, he can't pop the ground challenge actually. I was wondering why he's being so aggressive, but oh, here we go. Fight down to the river. Bengi caught by that cocoon. Bang there to defend his jungler though. Nice poke from Crown. They want to go after the dragon now. Maybe. No, not quite. Everyone backing off.
SKT can be so aggressive with their positioning and skirmishes, because look at this comp. Neither Core JJ nor Crown want to go in on fights. They both want to poke from range. Only Lissandra and Lissandra, Elise, and Alistair, they're the initiation trio, and if one of them is absent, you can't count on the follow-up damage coming in from Crown and Core JJ unless they're positioned very specifically. So all those skirmishes, Bengi, given that he's doing well, given that he already has some magic resist, can be so aggressive.
Bengi accidentally took his own tunnel back to the blue buff there. Oops.
Oops, that was a mistake.
It just looked like so much fun.
Pool Party Rek'Sai is always having fun.
I suppose. He's been having fun this game. 2 assists. Kills are a bit more fun, but you take what we can get.
Duke moving away from the build we usually expect. He's usually Ravenous Hydra into Titanic Hydra later, but actually just rushes the Titanic Hydra.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose that does help with the dueling, doesn't it?
I would take Ravenous Hydra early for dueling purposes, but it does help you push back waves because you get more AoE per auto attack, so just able to push things in.
Battle of wards, and Wolf actually losing that one. Can't get rid of the ward.
Another game where Core JJ picks up Trinity Force and has to sit bottom lane. Doesn't even have any vision. Look, double pink wards around bot. This Corki cannot overextend for turret damage or even push down the wave.
Well,
Need to empower Corki. If he's just sitting in lane, he's any other AD carry. He doesn't have the ability to use what he's really picked for.
SKT knows, though. They know that the... oh, Crown just completely misses his ultimate. Ambition coming in, though. Cocoon. Faker just seems to be unable to be hit by skill shots today.
And he is moving at 500 MS with Whimsy.
It's true. Spooky ghosts.
The spookiest.
Yep. So, like I was saying, SK Telecom, I think they know that the longer they make this game go, the more the frustration is going to start mounting for Samsung, in that they can't really execute on what they're trying to execute on. Speaking of executed, they might end up being executed by SKT, but no. Bengi just delaying the recall, wants to give Duke a chance to take down the top turret, I guess.
Kind of the reason why I wave my finger at the gameplay picks is, look, you give Faker Lulu, a lane-dominant champion, Bengi's on Rek'Sai. Suddenly, it looks like old SKT. They've had a monopoly on control in mid. They take down the early turret. That was always an SKT cornerstone, was Faker getting those chip auto attacks and then taking early turrets. They've rotated around the lane that could potentially snowball for SKT. For Samsung against SKT, this has basically been SKT 101, and the game looks so much simpler.
Yeah, and now we see SK Telecom about 4K gold ahead, so expanding that lead since the last time we looked. Like, they're just slowly pulling farther ahead, and I don't know. I think Samsung's window may already be kind of closed here. What do you think?
Look, it might be slightly ajar, but let's be real, it's pretty firmly closed. It's winter right here in Seoul, so you don't want to even crack open that window a little bit. You need to keep it firm shut, and that's what SKT has done.
That's the truth. Rift Herald offs himself, I guess. That's what it looked like to me.
No, he just leaves. He takes a business trip every 1955.
I know what those graphics mean. It means a kill has happened. What do you think happens? Do you think he just falls down the hole? Wolf hit with that Verisalt, flashes, gets sewed with the pillar. Teleport coming in for SKT. Looks like it was canceled by Duke, though.
Draws up the Ghost Blade, obviously not the most important of cooldowns, but SKT have so much map control. Every lane has gone their way. It is poking around Dragon. No Dragon's taken, but no Dragon's needed for SKT.
Yeah. Oh, Bengi being very aggressive on Ambition, but that was a mistake, man. Has to receive that wild growth from Faker just to stay alive. Yeah, that was... I'm not quite sure why Bengi went for that so aggressively, because they may have just given up the Dragon.
Maybe a first Dragon. Core JJ finally feels comfortable enough to push forward.
Oh, Faker in the duel with Crown. That's going to be a tough one. Faker having to run, and Crown once again coming up with the 1v1 win. Looks like Samsung wasn't quite ready to go for Dragon yet.
Samsung have good wards in the area. Pink closest to the Dragon for bottom lane, and also some good deep vision. Not exactly ideal, but enough. They could force it. And look, you can see Ambition starting off the Dragon.
Yep. Well, Bengi's back. He's got his health. And you can see Duke already heading down. And with Crown so low health, if Bengi can keep keeping him from recall, SKT might be able to grab this Dragon pretty easily.
The crazy thing for SKT is that denying the enemy Dragon is just as powerful as taking it themselves, because Dragon is always about a backup win condition, right? Theoretically, your comp should be able to win forthright, but of course, if you're having trouble getting that last objective, breaking the base, you can just back off, take the Dragon, start stacking. When you can't opt into late game, when you're so obviously outclassed in your draft as Samsung is against SKT in late game team fights, denying Dragon, not having that as a backup win condition for the poke comp, which theoretically at this point should have taken turrets, pushed out lanes, be able to pick up easy free Dragons. Not even having a Dragon on the board means that, man, it's a complete wash in the late game. Things are looking really bad for Samsung. It's going to require some monumental mistakes, and not just one, multiple from SKT.
Uh-oh, and Crown's in trouble. No flash. He's not going to make it out. Bengi grabs that kill, and I think things are starting to come off the rails a little bit for Samsung.
At the end of the day, you don't have flash on that Varus. Such an easy
nice
kill.
Pillar. Forcing Core JJ to use the package to escape. Looks like they're going to get top turret, maybe.
Oh, we're dueling. Maybe not.
Well, meanwhile, some more action down in bot. Faker comes in, gets knocked back into the grump. and Bengi can't finish off Wraith.
Man, that 650 units really gave them a lot of safety against the Lulu.
Helped out. It was that extra, that last 50, you know?
It's always the last 50.
Yep. It's true. Somehow, that top turret survived. It's got to have like 5 health right now.
SKT, when they have this lane dominance, specifically in mid, when Faker is empowered to do what he's doing, just push all day, they make League of Legends look
2
easy.
health.
They make it look so easy, Doa.
They do, yeah.
Which is why bother with the game plan? Why go all in on these picks where you just don't have lane dominance? Faker is so good when he's moving forward.
SKT has been a team that's done a lot of experimenting in their game ones. I mean, think about spring season last year, dude. All those games of the Easy Hoon, then they would lose game 1, put Faker in, and then they would lose game 2. And, you know, so spring season in 2015 was very much a season of experimentation for SK Telecom in picks and comps and rosters, and they still ended up 3-0ing the GE Tigers in the finals of that one. So
when your fallback comfort looks like this, maybe you can experiment a little bit.
I would say so, yeah. And that's why I'm not too fazed by SKT losing to Jin Air. Sure, it's surprising, but you know, the same thing happened last year, and they won Worlds last year, so you really can't read too much into it. Turret finally goes down in favor of Samsung. That's just their first of the game.
Definitely late. 24-minute first turret. Finally, Core JJ and Crown are grouped, but that's at the price of their own turret. Don't even have bot lane turret. They're going to try and finally siege this mid turret. This should be with the 6,000 gold advantage, not 6,000 gold behind.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still a strong siege right now. SKT's going to need to come together to try to do it, but it looks like they're going to try to flank instead. Coming from the side, Wolf is right there. Teleport coming in, Duke joining the party. Bengi in the back, taking a lot of damage, but Bang coming in now. And with Faker, they should be able to do a lot of damage. Wolf has to flash away. Faker used his ult to keep him alive. A little bit of a disjointed fight, and SK Telecom, honestly, with not the greatest result, and that's going to cost him a mid lane turret.
Looks like it's going to take a lot of damage at minimum. Caught.
Oh, good poke from Faker. They actually do manage to force Samsung away. A little bit surprised, actually, that they were able to do it.
Right, Fancy just so strong. Faker's not done.
Yeah, Spooky goes to, but he's going to take a lot of damage. That Lulu is not tanky. Not at all.
Samsung to back away, but not the safest way possible.
Faker, so aggro. Taking a big arrow from Varus, but they're going to push Samsung back, and all of this leads into a very easy tier 2 turret, or at least a lot of damage on it. In fact, not going to quite get it, but really well played by SKT to just push Samsung away and then use that leverage to get that damage done.
Remember, Bengi falling first led to just a slight amount of chip damage on the outer mid turret, and they still, with Bengi dead, were able to push down and get almost the full health of the inner turret, just because of Faker consistently stopping the safe retreat into the inner turret and forcing them to take the longest route possible back to their inner turret.
I mean, it's just more of the same, right? I mean, yeah, they gave up Bengi, but then Samsung maybe overcommitting a little bit to try to get that mid turret, takes too much poke damage, and in the end, ends up worse off.
Absolutely. This is SKT playing League of Legends the way it's supposed to be played. Fast-paced, taking those outer mid lane turrets. Faker having so much wave control.
Fast-paced.
Fast-paced? That's what 2016 is all about.
This is fast-paced to you?
This is pretty fast-paced to me. Have you seen some of the games this week?
Now this is fast-paced. Faker all over Kuve. Kuve ults him though, but Wolf right there with the pillar gets the slow, and are we going to see a bloodthirsty kill? Not quite. The W locks up Wolf. Faker coming around with that whimsy. Wraith a little bit late to the party. Slowed again, and one more should do it. Faker with the kill onto Kuve. That's maybe not the most fast-paced kill, but the beginning was fast-paced at least.
That's right. We're lulled into a state of obscurity, but it's going to be fairly workmanlike from here. The fast-paced was the fact that they could overcome what was an early game advantage for Samsung. Now it's just really dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Fair skating.
That's right. Oh, Bang ulted has to actually use that QSS to get out.
Double QSS already for any other damage items for Duke.
Yep. Makes sense. I mean, with Alessandra and Navarus on the other side, you're going to need to have that QSS early on. SK Telecom wants to finish off this tier 2 turret.
Little things like taking away and denying the blue buff. You actually work through a lot of mana from Crown if you're trying to poke and wave clear on the Varus. So blue is certainly not optional. It's been denied consistently by SKT.
Yep. Very true. Faker split pushing in bot lane even a little bit now.
Only as a 5-man group in front of an objective does Samsung have decent team fight. Even then, they're outclassed by SKT. And that's why split them around the map, keep pushing in. The 2v2 with this big goal difference only ever going to go to SKT.
Yeah, look at this. Able to put pressure across all 3 lanes at the same time. It's working out very well for SK Telecom.
Exactly the pressure game that Samsung picked for.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, well, I mean, Samsung wanted to get it done through poke. SK Telecom just getting it done through some split pushing and some very superior lane play in the early game.
Definitely, and again, more of the same. Faker's going to keep poking at this turret, has Whimsy, has a shield. It'll be so annoying, and Samsung, there's just nothing they have access to. They're not getting their own buffs, they're certainly not getting anywhere near Dragons and Baron.
Yeah, this is nearly a perfect game for SK Telecom so far. Only 1 death and 1 turret away from it. This is about as methodical and solid league as I think you can see play. CoreJJ dueling with Faker. Faker going for the kill, nearly gets it. CoreJJ using both of his summoners at the end to stay alive, and it still was very close.
If you notice, the actual last Glitter Lance went off and chipped him down to perhaps 30 health. Really smart from Faker to hold on to the Glitter Lance. You have that extra time once you approach 40% CDR.
Well, without the Alistar heal, that probably would have been a kill.
Exactly. You would think the 30 heal wouldn't have been much, but man, it was the difference.
Yep, very able to save his AD carry there.
Safe to say that Duke.
Oh, gotta be careful now though. Faker trying to evade. Flash ult onto Faker, he's in trouble now. Oh, Faker with the Whimsy. And here comes Duke. They get Faker, but will Duke get a bit of revenge here? Kuve's so low already. There's the ult, he gets it, and Ambition in trouble, so they lose Faker, but they'll give a double kill over to Duke in the end.
I was about to mention, safe to say that with those items, Duke could outscale Lissandra and maybe add a couple of friends next to Lissandra. Nothing will stop Duke.
You cannot do anything to SKT without them taking more in response, apparently.
Nope. You are completely on the ball. You can be the analyst this game, Doa. You've got it down pat. There's just nothing. There's no positive trade for Samsung right now. At this point, they will be trading even or just losing out to SKT at the best of times.
Definitely doesn't take an analyst to see how SK Telecom can take advantage of every little mistake that Samsung's been making this series.
Calling card of SKT.
Yeah. And even more than that, it's their ability to take their own mistakes and then turn them into advantages.
Haven't made too many mistakes this game, so haven't had to do that. They've been well on top throughout. Samsung missed their window and then some. And now it's just methodical closing. SKT could go for a crazy move, but probably best to just play as if you're even and then take advantage of the opportunities when the enemies make the mistake.
I mean, it really does seem like we're just in cleanup mode for SK Telecom at this point. This is definitely not the close game we saw in game number 1. A solid 10,000 gold lead for SKT at 31 minutes. And now we'll just see how they close.
Just waiting for the inevitable. Big team fight, taps it around, happen around Baron.
Duke recalling, so they're gonna have to do without him for any fights here, but Kuve still has teleport. So Kuve can join if he wants to.
What does an engage from Samsung look like if Kuve's not already crewed? That's the question. They don't have any flank wards. Actually, they do have one on the Wraiths, but
they do.
Are they really in position to force a fight? They're 10,000 gold behind.
Well, you can see they're swapping Faker and Duke right now. Faker's got that teleport, so he can show up if they need him to. Or is Duke gonna stick a little bit closer to the team, which is probably a pretty good idea.
Bang is so massive.
Oh, are we gonna see the fight?
Nope.
Kuve just recalling, yeah. Doesn't want to tangle with Faker at this point, I suppose. Bengi trying to go in. Here's the teleport from Faker coming in. Duke from the side with that ultimate. All over ground. Huge knockup with that wild growth. Bengi getting in there with some CC as well. And Duke going crazy now. It's going to be a double kill for him already. And it is all cleanup for SKT. Bang grabbing a double kill for himself too. And Wraith, the only one surviving from that team fight on the Samsung side. And that could be an inhibitor, if not the game right there.
And that is just the result of the team fight comp they picked up. But with the snowball, no way for Samsung to do anything. Doesn't matter what summoners they had. There was always going to be a tipping point. But honestly, it was about 20 minutes into this game. Just easy running over of Samsung for SKT.
That is it. And a very, very quick, very thorough stomping from SK Telecom in game number 2 at only about 33 minutes. SKT is going to close this one out. GG, 2-0 for SK Telecom.
Rumors of SK Telecom's demise might have been a little bit exaggerated, Doa.
Yeah.
Your boys just really powered through Samsung. Game 1 was very close. That was the best of this new Samsung lineup. They picked a tricky, hard-to-execute comp in Game 2. They missed their window, and SKT rolled over them.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, SK Telecom struggled a bit in game number 1 with Samsung. Samsung played great. SKT won it in the end, but game 2 was all SK Telecom from start to finish.
Just a really nice control game, very reminiscent of the Rocks Tigers earlier this week, able to pull off a very strong third game yesterday.
We're watching that team fight again on the other monitor. It's really incredible. They just funneled Samsung into a little clump. Wild Growth for the knockup. Bengi comes in for his own knockup, and that is a lot of damage.
The moment you see Fiora and Lulu in the late game with Lissandra that you're going to be able to outpush, and then the late game, QSS, Wild Growth, no one is killing that Fiora, and she is killing everyone.
I would say so. Well, like you said, I think if anyone was worried about SK Telecom after that loss to Jin Air, I think you can kind of put those worries aside now. Pretty strong performance against Samsung, but I can't wait until later in the season. I want to see the games against the Rocks Tigers. I want to see the games against KT. SK Telecom, yeah, they look good in game 2, but to me, they've still got a little bit more to prove this season.
The excitement about SKT is that their roster still has a lot more to improve. Duke specifically is fitting in fine, but he's not quite hit that level that Marin was at just as he left the team. So there's still improving to be done, and that's a team that just won Worlds, and we still have excitement about their untapped potential.
Oh yeah. I think this season in general is going to be really fun to watch in Korea.
Ambition.
Not so much fun for him today, I suppose. But when we come back, guys, we'll have Africa Freaks versus Jin Air. Don't go anywhere. Champion Spring will be right back after this short break.